Hey guys, Dr. Dave here with another Hacked Existence video. Today we're going to be setting up OpenVPN on our pfSense router so we can remotely connect to our home network in a secure manner. But before we do that, we'll need to go to noip.org and register a dynamic DNS hostname for use in our OpenVPN setup. Go ahead and create an account with noip.org and log in. Then we will create a hostname and choose a name for it. Make sure we have the domain populated and the IP address in there. Also, we want DNS host type A record to be created. After all of that's done, we can go ahead and click Create Hostname. After it's completed, we'll see a success message and the record has been established. So we'll go ahead and save this and proceed back to pfSense to begin to create our certificate authority. So now we're going to go ahead and configure the dynamic DNS service in the pfSense router. Go ahead and click Services and then choose Dynamic DNS. Then click Add. For the service type, we want to choose noip.org. And then we'll enter our host name that we created. Here we'll enter our account credentials and then save the page. Now we'll return to the dashboard. And in our widgets, we'll go ahead and add the dynamic DNS status to our dashboard. I like to move it right up under the interfaces, and it looks like everything is functioning properly. We're ready to set up our certificate authority. So let's go to System, Certificate Manager. Under Certificate Authorities, click Add. Give it a descriptive name. Make sure we're creating an internal certificate authority. Give it a descriptive common name. And you can go ahead and populate these fields. Then go ahead and click Save. Now we've created our certificate authorities. Now we have to go generate a server certificate for it. So click Certificates, Add Sign, say Create an internal certificate. We'll give it a descriptive name. Make sure it's using the proper certificate authority. And for the common name, we'll go ahead and use our special DNS name. Note that it populated the rest of the data for us from the certificate authority. And then under certificate attributes, certificate type, make sure to select server certificate. We'll go ahead and click Save. Now that we've made our server certificate, we need to go ahead and create users and grant them certificates as well. To create our user accounts, we want to go to System, User Manager. Then click Add, and we'll create our first VPN user. Give it a password. And make sure you click to create a user certificate. Then we'll go ahead and give it a descriptive name. Make sure that the certificate authority is the one we created before, and then go ahead and click Save. Okay, so now that we have our user configured, we're going to want to install the OpenVPN client export package, which will help us export our settings to any operating system or device that we'll be using our VPN on. So to do this, we'll go to System, Package Manager, Available Packages, and then type in OpenVPN. Here we see the OpenVPN client export and click Install. Now we'll return to the main screen and get ready to configure OpenVPN itself. Okay, to begin configuring the VPN itself, we'll click on VPN, OpenVPN. We'll then click on Wizards and use the wizard to assist us during our setup. So we do want local user access. We want the certificate authority we created. We want to use the server certificate that we created. Okay, so we're going to want to leave the local port alone for now as 1194, but if you were going to actually use this, you might want to change it just so default scanners can't attempt to sniff your OpenVPN install. Let's give it a descriptive name. So for the cryptographic settings, we do want TLS authentication on. We do want it to generate a key for us, and we can leave the rest of the parameters alone. For the tunnel network, we want to increment it from our local area network. So we will use the following address, insider notation. We want to force all of our client traffic through the tunnel, so check redirect gateway. Then we'll enter in what we use for our local network. Insider notation. Concurrent connections is how many VPN connections you want to allow to the box. For now, we'll say 5. And I do like to allow inter-client communication so all of my VPNs can talk to themselves and one another. So under client settings, we will want the dynamic IP checked so we can allow clients to stay on in case their IP changes. We do want one IP address per client in a common subnet. Our local domain is local domain, and we want to use the router as our DNS server. No NetBIOS options or NTP server options for now, and go ahead and click Next. Okay, then we will add the firewall rules that it will create for us in the table automatically. So make sure both of those are checked and click Next. And we're done. So go ahead and click Finish. Now we're going to want to go to Client Export. Now for hostname resolution, we'll want to select our dynamic DNS name, and we want to make sure we're using a random local port to handle more than one client concurrently. Then let's scroll down, and we're going to want to save this as the default to ensure that those settings don't change. And then we'll look at our OpenVPN client options. So in this case, I will be testing it from my phone. So I will choose the OpenVPN Connect file and download it. I will email this to myself, and we'll go back to the main screen. And on the dashboard, we will go ahead and add our OpenVPN widget to the dashboard. Let's go ahead and move that up underneath our dynamic DNS. And we'll monitor this for our active connection to demonstrate that the VPN is working properly. Okay, so the last thing we want to do before we run the OpenVPN is to make sure that the interface that the VPN on is enabled. So let's go to Interfaces, Assignments, and under Available New Ports, choose our VPN and click Add. Then go ahead and click Save. Now we'll return back to the main menu. Now from my phone, I will use the certificate we exported from the export client earlier on to connect to the VPN. You should see in the OpenVPN area the username and the IP address pop up as I run the profile. And sure enough, there it is. Now let's make sure everything's functioning properly, and we're able to successfully resolve DNS. So that's it for today's VPN video. Thanks for watching.